Another subject I'm going to talk about is autism or neurodivergent, maintaining a healthy mind. It's, as I said in the previous video today, it's a challenge because of the environment we're in. For so many reasons, as you could all probably list, and probably more than I've thought of. And the challenge is maybe number one, the lack of understanding everywhere amongst families who have a mixture of neurodivergent and autistic. That mixture can be challenging because the lack of understanding of each other's minds. So we have these challenges, especially when we're dependent on people who are our caregivers who don't get it. That's going to be really difficult growing up in that. Although it's not their fault, it's the lack of awareness and understanding. Like I said, one day it won't be like that, but we're the forerunners of it, I believe. And it was worse for the people in the past who weren't recognised as being autistic. I think my mum was one of them. She had a harder time than I did, but mine still was as challenging. We've got to validate to ourselves that just because our experience is not the same as someone else's, doesn't mean it's not as valid or hard for us, because it's only what we know, isn't it? It's only our perception, it's what we've known. Good thing to realise is you're not alone. If you feel alone, then reach out, if you can, to people who get you. But I know that being autistic means that you can be entirely isolated and you haven't found many people. And also some of the services haven't got the awareness and they can be quite challenging. People who answer the phone, it can all be a put off, can't it, if there's somebody harsh? Because we are made for that sort of thing, really, in some ways. No, we're not all the same, so please don't think I'm telling you what you are, because you might not be any of these things I've just said. But if you are and you can relate, then maintaining our mental health in this environment is almost a full-time job. But sometimes with practice we can do it running alongside other things. I think if you haven't got to a point yet where you can balance out that mental health as well as you'd like, you might not. You might be, like I said in the other video, you might be somebody who just isn't made that way, but you might be my kind of neurodivergent that might be able to form a balance. I don't mean it's not a challenge for me every day, because it is. But I know it's some people in different situations. You might be in a situation where people don't understand you and they keep telling you what you're doing is wrong, and that's so hard. And it's really hard for us because of all the different mental health challenges we have within this environment. If your caregivers aren't supporting you, that's really difficult. And I'm not blaming anybody. I think it's just a lack of understanding that our brains actually work differently. So to maintain mental health, there's, when you're at a point where you can, if you can, I think one of the first things I would probably do is reach out to a social group of neurodivergent, find my own people, because a lot of things will become a revelation to you that these people feel the same as you. I know it's challenging. I know that's anxiety ridden. If I can help with that, I don't mind helping with that. It is because it's hard at first, because we're waiting for rejection, not being understood. And all these things still exist within neurodivergent social situations. They do, because of mental health and it's not being supported. Some people will naturally reject everybody who goes near them when they're neurodivergent because they're protecting themselves. It's a protection strategy. So hopefully wherever you are, there are those kind of connections that you can try and make. If you are suffering, in big time with isolation and anxiety. Um, you know, so I've definitely, my mental health has improved since I've been part of a neurodivergent social group. I do, and all of us in there know that we need to minimize contact sometimes and sometimes connect, and there isn't, like there can be in other relationships with, I don't mean it nastily, but with holistics, sometimes they can see that as rejections, they can, and then they think we're off or we're not bothering, or, because they don't realize we're struggling. And I think it's because we're just, full of ourselves or something. I've had that said about me many times. I'm aloof. I'm full of myself. It's not. It's because I'm regulating. And the time when I used to do it, I didn't know that's what I was doing. But I needed to pull back because I needed to come back down again and be strong again. I used to go out once a week on a Friday night to learn conversation and how to connect. I didn't realise the area I was going to, which was my local pub, wasn't really the right area for me, because I wasn't like the people there, and I don't mean it nasty, but my conversation was not the same, my thoughts weren't the same. I did learn the banter there, which I quite like banter now, but I still don't fit there, and I can feel uncomfortable immediately as soon as I go in, and it's nobody's fault. It's not theirs, it's not mine. It's because I just don't think or feel the same, and because of my manner I often get looked at as like I think I'm better than people, but it's not what I'm thinking at all. I just don't think the same, and I find that really hard, and the way I communicate is different, so my communication to them seems like I'm being aloof. So this is what I'm just trying to say, is trying to find the right environment to maintain your mental health. It's finding what's right for you, what works for you. If something doesn't work, it's okay, so for me, being in a neurodivergent social group has been a massive change and a massive shift for me personally. Other things is recognizing about, these are all important, by the way, to maintain mental health, and I can't do it all in this one video because there's a lot of things we've got to think about. Recognizing our social battery. Is it fully charged? Is it a bit low right now? Going into a situation when your battery is low could be risky emotionally, because it can send us into depression and spiraling and anxiety. Strong words. Maybe low mood might be a better word to use, but I do go quite deep quite quickly. This is the way we kind of do. We go deep really quickly, and catastrophize it immediately, and that's not, I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that the lack of understanding of us has made me have so many bad experiences growing up that I immediately go, oh no, it's going to be like that again. And it's been so upsetting, and some things can be. So I think that's why we do it, because I think they put it down as a natural part of autism, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's because we've been in the wrong environments that have created these mini traumas. So we will catastrophize, try and protect ourselves from more pain and hurt and rejection. So it's keeping an eye on your social battery, learning about your social battery, not feeling bad if you can't do that thing that day. Also, I don't mean it nasty, but I minimize contact with people sometimes in work, particularly, and I don't mean it nasty again if they're realistic, because the communication style is different, and every time I communicate in a way that suits them, which I probably shouldn't do. Actually, that's not true. Just suddenly realised, because I work with neurodivergent, I have a privilege in a way with them. Obviously in neurodivergent I don't find that hard. Everybody's got a challenge. Sometimes we're not perfectly fit for each other, but I actually do bring my autism into my communication with holistics, and they actually find I play on it a bit, and I actually manage to use humour to relate to them, and they quite like that. And because I am nothing like them, and they know I'm not, and my approach to things is entirely different, which I find quite refreshing. I think they might. Some look at me like, but not in an, and even if it was in a nasty way, but I don't think it is. I actually have a good shield against some of that, not all the time. So maintain mental health is a many series of different things. It's finding out what your triggers are, what things affect you. If you're sat in an office with a bright light above you all day and that's what affects you, this is not going to work. And it's difficult with the reasonable adjustments, which I really don't like that, because who's setting those reasonable adjustments? Is it us? I don't think it is, because the reasonable seems to be more for the, I'm not being nasty now. It's just, I just find, why are you thinking that this is reasonable when a person can't stand bright lights? You're not going to get a good result here. I can't stand bright lights. It would stress me out. So whether or not an holistic understands that, if you are affected by bright lights, it needs to be regulated for you to keep your mental health safe. Loud noises. If there's a noise all the time, if you've got hearing sensitivity, that's going to affect you. If you've got skin, things affecting your skin. If you can't touch things without gloves, you need to be able to use your gloves. There's so many different things. And finding out who you are, doing a book of you, what all these things are, and write them down, have it with you, because if you're anything like my autism, I can't do recall, so I won't know in the moment. If I sat here, right, can you list off everything that bothers you? And I'm like, I get a mental block, my brain goes blank. So I keep a pad with me. It's only through learning about me that I've learned, okay, actually this bothers me, and I didn't know that. And I know a few reasons why I didn't know it. It's because when growing up I was told you shouldn't feel like that. Why don't feel like that? Why do you feel like that? You're being, all these kind of things they say, you're being silly, you're being oversensitive, all these kind of things they say. And, it's kind of instilled in us to kind of go, blank it out. Okay, that doesn't bother me. And then you won't remember whether it bothers you or not. So it's reprogramming your brain to think about, what is it that bothers me? So when we kind of do these kind of things, when we start to learn about ourselves, this is all about maintaining our mental health. It will be a journey. It will be a journey of self-discovery. It will be a journey sometimes of sadness because you've not been understood. Sometimes it will be amazing, like a liberation to find you. So it's lots of different steps. So take your time with it. And there's loads more things that I think I've done a few videos on what things affect us. So if you want to look back at some of those videos, it might not be you. It might not be, you might not relate. You might think, oh, this isn't how it affects me at all, actually. I'm fine with that. Or you might go, actually, she's talking a little nonsense and I don't know why I'm even listening to her. Which I'm sure a lot of people do. So, but we've also got rejection sensitivity dysphoria. It might not be as strong as that, like I say about these things, but we do fear rejection a lot. So don't be upset about that if you do, because we will. So you can look that up as well and see what people say about it. But there's many different levels to understanding why you feel like you do. And if you have any questions, I can do another video on it. If you say, well, why am I feeling like this? I might be able to help you. I might be able to go, like I said, I'm not a professional. I'm just a person that talks to a lot of neurodivergent and has some understanding of the insight into why we feel like we do, some of us. So it's just the way I've learned to become more level. I have loads more to say, but I'm going to stop there. All right, take care.